It's that you had no idea what you were doing on your first movie. Were you telling people you didn't know what you were doing?
Yeah, yes, and well, I mean, like, because it was a musical, meaning song driven, I knew what I was doing. I just didn't know a couple things. I didn't know the techniques of how you do it, um, and I didn't know if what was writing as essentially what would be interstitial music for a stage production would be appropriate for a film. What I began doing with Little Mermaid was deliberately aping the old classic Disney scores. So if you listen to Little Mermaid, there's a lot of cues that are very, very influenced by almost like 40s or 50s style of scoring. Plus, there was what we call Mickey Mousing, which is, a character would move and you'd be able to and you write it musically. Um, and I think the songs, and B, the innocence of what I did is part of what completely captured people with Little Mermaid. Um, and so I tell the story when we went to the Oscars for Little Shop of Horrors for Mean Green Mother from Outer Space. We're sitting in the middle of this enormous row at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, and Levi Stubbs comes out and sings a song and brings the house down. And I get excited. Oh my God. Then I start to look at my pocket for the people I want to thank. And Howard's hand just comes over and goes, "You can relax. You're not getting any awards tonight." So, okay. But when we went to the Oscars for Little Mermaid, there we were right on the aisle.
Yeah.
And we won.
Can you explain? So you come from the theater world, and then you go into making this film, Little Mermaid, which, by the way, totally changed the future of Disney films. You guys revolutionized what that is and the music in it. But how does your process change when you go into doing a film versus a stage play? Because obviously this has to be animated, so it's not like the normal gig of a composer where you come in at the end and write a score. You're almost writing the story you are writing the story.
Yes. I'd like to say now, however, when you're writing a film musical, if you're a songwriter, when you're writing the songs, you're the king. When you're writing the score, you're the maid. You're basically
I was actually going to ask about your enjoyability factor on those two. In other words, you kind of articulated it there, which is after that Little Mermaid experience of writing the score and figuring it out and doing how you do it, have you found equal enjoyment? And maybe Richard Kraft would call me up and say, "Don't let him answer this," in scoring.
No, it's not. Yes, the answer is yes. I'll tell you why. Songwriting is you're trying to grab a gestalt in a moment and constructing something that moves story forward, that uses music and lyrics in a very specific way to tell the story. And you do that song by song. And it tends to be a very interactive, everybody giving their opinion and feedback and dealing with people's expectations big time. When you're writing the score, once you're in the process of writing the score, you're almost like in your own monastery. It's like you block out the world and for like, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever it is, it's just you and that film and the director, but you're really embedding yourself in every moment of the film in a very different kind of way. And in a sense, I'm being the agent for the songwriter in being not the agent, but I'm being a catalyst for the songwriter to make sure that the themes emotionally and musically that are established in the songs are carried through and really
Perfect.
Drive the picture. And so I love scoring. And to be very bluntly honest, in a lot of cases, that, especially with the way finances of the business works, sometimes scoring the movie is the best way to actually get paid.
Yeah.
It's a very important, huge job, and it's very different than being a songwriter. And to me, it's always now with Newsies, as you mentioned, I did not write the score. That was oh god,
Jack Redford.
Jack Redford.
Jack Redford, yeah.
Who he did a great job. I loved working with him.
But going back to my question, how early on are you in the process, and are you in the room with the writers? Because not only are you writing songs for characters on screen, but you're incorporating so many characters into the songs, so you kind of have to have a feel for all of these different characters and what punchline they may add into one of your songs or something like that. I imagine the songs change a lot over time too, right? With adding those in.
Absolutely. And it's essentially, as you write the songs, you're sort of embedding threads, stylistic threads into the score. A lot of them are very specific. Having a calypso thread for Sebastian is a huge color to pull through the rest of the score. Having that moving theme for Ariel, that da 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 da, which is basically the flow of water, it embeds something that's memorable that you put right at the top of the story, and it carries you through the entire picture.
But I liked hearing this, that you're setting actually a whole tone with some of these choices, musical choices.
Oh God, yeah, it's all about that, and the thing about, for me at least, writing a stage or film score is you are essentially ushering people into a world, and a world that ideally is defined by the musical choices, and of course the words as well. But if it's going to be international, those worlds they're going to go from language to language, but the music is going to remain. And for me, I always want to find a unique world for each of the projects. So, going into Little Shop with da 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 da, bubblegum rock and roll, and the Phil Spector influenced songs, you get the sense of the world you're in. With Little Mermaid, having calypso and the Ariel theme and a little bit of the Brecht
water to this moment. That's
Ursula
incredible.
Again.
That water analogy, that's just wonderful.
Yeah.